Hey, Sean G here from Chasing the Truth. You're about to get some of the best of samples of shows I've done over the last 5 years. God bless y'all and enjoy.
Nowhere else but my square block. So my square block, the Transformer blew. And I mean, we're in the middle of the interview. We go to a commercial break, and I'm like, bro, Dave, it's really, really bad outside. And he's like, man, how bad? So he actually comes back. He tells everybody, I don't know how this is going to go. I'm on the phone with Dark Waters, but he's saying that there's a really bad thunderstorm. And then we go to the next break, and boom, power gone. Like, only thing in this house that was lit up was the candle. So I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. I'm not bugging out. I'm not tripping. I'm going to bed. But I say all that to say, for those people who listen to this, there needs to be a certain level of appreciation that you have for people who kind of do this from an entertainment standpoint, an educational standpoint, because there's a cost to pay. And I've learned, and I thank God for this, that um, when you look at people who are in this industry, those who are not Christian, those who don't have a higher power that they can turn to, they end up being plagued by demons, and their life is plagued by negativity, and things are just going crazy for them. And I just thank God that I am that person who has that in my life, and I have that high authority and power that I can call upon to to help me, because the things that have been going on, the things that I've seen are terrifying. I'll tell you another one. I told you this before we started recording. The way my house is set up,
Mm-hmm.
there's New Orleans houses are maybe 10 to 12 feet apart. Like literally, I'm looking at my neighbor's house. I could spit through the window from where I'm sitting and hit my neighbor's house, right? That's how far apart we are.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a driveway that leads to the back of the house, and then there's an open area where you can park. So I would always pull in the driveway, go park in the back of the house, and then walk around to the front, come to the front door. Well, I'm out one night with my partner, Shelby. We hanging out, smoking cigars. We went to Dos Efes. We were celebrating something we did. I can't even remember what it was. And I come home, pull into the driveway, go around the back, park. And actually, this time I rearranged the car to where it's easier for me to pull out in the morning. And I start walking down the little alleyway that leads to the front of the house. I get all the way to the front of the driveway, and something tells me to turn around and look behind me. So when I turn around and I look straight down the driveway, and I don't see anything. But then my eyes kind of dart over to this motion that was going on under the neighbor's house. And if you've ever been in New Orleans, you know that our houses are raised because we flood. And there's no lattice or any kind of barrier blocking, like a kid can run under the house if they wanted to and play, right?
Right.
And so I look under the house, bro, and I see uh, this pale, it looks like a person, but it's pale and it's extremely skinny, but his head is big, like bigger than, and I have a big old head. I got like a big linebacker like head, like I got a helmet on. It's bigger than my head, right? And I'm like, what is this? And it's on all fours and it's moving under the house. And it's moving towards me on an angle coming under the house. And you know how you see something, you turn your head sideways? I turn my head sideways and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell is that? But there's no fear coming over me because I've seen so many things and had so many different attacks. It's just like, this is brand new. Like, what the hell is that? And then my mind says, in the back of my mind, it says, well, whatever this thing is, if it was as bad as it's claiming to be or pretending to be right now, it had ample opportunity to get you because you walk straight past it. It ain't do nothing. It ain't make a noise. It ain't say nothing. It wasn't clicking. It wasn't doing nothing. It was just moving. And so I just said, hey, whatever you is, whatever I said by exact words, whatever you is, you need to go on about your business. And I turned around, came up the steps, and went in the house, got in the bed, and went to sleep. Um, I wasn't drunk because I don't really drink. The only thing I do is smoke cigars. I don't do any drugs, so I know what I saw. But those are the
Right.
kind of things that happen, around me all the time. But now the difference is prior to, 2018, that would have scared the living daylights out of me. Now it's like, oh, okay, somebody came to show me itself or pay a visit, and I guess it's trying to intimidate me. It just doesn't intimidate me anymore.
No. Have you ever woke up to? Well, you were telling me this right before the show, as we were talking. Have you ever woke up and had something in front of you? You mentioned, just prior about your acid reflux. But have you woke up and have something standing in front of you?
I've woken up to see stuff standing in the doorway. I've woken up to something pulling me in the bed. Just last night, as I was sleeping, something pulled my body. And when I woke up, it was that, that night terror sensation where you
Yeah.
can't move. And I could tell it was behind me on my left hand side. And, but I wasn't afraid. I was just like, well, why are you waking me up? And then I kind of rolled over a little bit and looked. And I said, you know what? I plead the blood of Jesus Christ over my household. Whatever it is, well, whoever you are, you need to go. And then it subsided. And then it came right back like with a cold chill, like boom, like somebody had just turned the air conditioner right on your neck. And I was like, I told you go. And then I was woke at that point in time. That was like 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I got up, played a game of Fortnite, and then went back to sleep. It was like, the hell with it. So if there are things that consistently happen, and what I do is, my firm belief is that those things now happen to me. Um, and I open up those doors when I'm doing things I shouldn't do in some way, shape, or form. So anytime something like that happens, the next morning I reflect on what I've been doing in my life that may have been a sin or something that I've done wrong that would lift my veil of protection, and what I need to pretty much apologize for or repent for. And I've discovered that once I figure out what it is and I repent, then I don't have those problems. And I know it sounds, super Christian-y like, but I'm just sharing people my experience. I've discovered that there's certain things that I can do, that will absolutely provoke or remove that protection to where something comes after me. And as long as I'm staying right with God, those things may try and come, but they don't get that close. But when there's certain things I've done wrong, then they come extremely, extremely close, and they make themselves, their presence known. So I don't even look at it as a threat anymore. I look at it as, I let this thing come grab you in the middle of the night so you can remember, hey, dummy, stop doing this. You know what I'm saying? I don't
All
look
right.
at it as something I fear anymore.
So what did you do before this happened last night? Did you do something that kind of lowered your protection?
Yeah, I'd
Yes.
rather not say that, but yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'd rather not say that, but yeah, I
Well,
did.
you kind of rolled that toward me. I was like, okay, I got this ball. Let's ask. All right.
Yeah, you got the balls. That's cool. It's all good. But I'm just saying I'd rather not go
Yeah,
there.
right.
But
Not go down
yeah, I
there.
did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but that's what happened. You know, um, so it's one of those things. Like my challenge, I've always been a ladies' man, and I'll put it to you like that. Um, since I was a kid, I have a great personality. Women tend to be attracted to it, and so that'll give you more than enough information.
Okay. All right. All right. So you alluded to. I know you're a Christian. You're a fellow Christian. Uh, so what do you do to prepare, or if you find that you're really in the spiritual battle with something, what in the world do you do? Besides, I'm not just saying. Well, yeah, I probably am. Well, just give me, for instance, like with your last demon encounter that I think you alluded to with me on the phone. What in the world you've told me about the keys of Solomon and this, that, and the other. Care to explain that?
Yeah, well, to answer your first question, how do I protect myself and defend myself? I use the Psalms of the Bible to defend myself. So, for example, there are 150 Psalms in the Bible. Out of that 150, like 20 something Psalms are about protection, um, and spiritual growth. Some of them are for your finances, some of them are for relationships. So, when I'm preparing to go on an interview where I know I'm going to talk about stuff like really, really go deep, I will for days prior to that, I will in the morning, I'll get up at like 5:30 and I will pray every last one of those psalms before I start my day. Like I will literally sit at my altar and read every last one of those psalms out loud in my household. Um, and I'll do it day after day after day after day after day, to help build that layer of protection. Then that night before I go to bed, I'll go through the hedge prayer protection, which if anybody really needs that, it's on iamdarkwaters.com. If you go on the front page and scroll all the way down to the bottom, it'll say, are you haunted by something? Do you need help? And it says click here, and it takes you to the Hedge prayer protection, which is a prayer that invokes the intercession of the Archangel Michael and a whole host of people that can help you. And so I'll pray that prayer. That is a very, very powerful prayer. I have discovered extremely powerful, that really, really does make a difference. So prayer is what I do. And some people consider reading the Psalms not to be praying, but it actually is praying. That's all that was David's prayers to God. So that's what I do to protect myself. And if we were talking about the keys of Solomon and the Testament of Solomon, is more what I was talking about more than anything. I'm a studier of the Word of God. So I've read the Testament of Solomon, probably 15 times. I listened to it like 20 times, because you need to know what you're up against. And that Testament of Solomon, which is just his life's testament and his testimony of what he did when he was building King Solomon's temple, which anybody who knows anything about masonry knows that the whole Masonic order is based around the building of King Solomon's temple. And King Solomon was one of the wisest men ever on the planet. So if you want to be, a wise person to have understanding, then you need to study these things. The reason why I listen to that is because I always need to understand and remember that it's spiritual warfare constantly going on. You get bogged down in your daily life, paying bills, doing things with kids, washing, cleaning, cooking. But if you're not aware of the spiritual battles that are always at your doorstep, then you find yourself, at a disadvantage, a significant disadvantage. So I think I've told you this before. I walk probably about 25 miles a week for exercise. Mm-hmm. And so in the mornings when I'm walking, I get up and I pray. Then after I pray, I go walking. I listen to the same Christian motivation that I play for people on Sundays, which is playing all day today. I listen to that as I'm walking. And it's just a constant reminder that there's a realm that we have, that we exist, a realm that is there, that exists, that we operate in, that if we understand what's going on and we're sensitive to it, then we don't have to suffer. Or if we do have to suffer some kind of calamity, it just makes things easier. What I will tell you is, since I've increased my prayer, specific prayers for specific things, I've seen a hell of a lot more success financially, emotionally, and relationships, business. I've seen a huge increase in success, and I'm very happy about that. I really am. And I didn't know, Sean, it was like I was taking these spiritual attacks, like massive attacks, that I didn't even see. So, for example, if you go back and you look at YouTube, right, when I first was on YouTube, and the people that I kind of beefed out with. Now, to me, YouTube beef and New Orleans beef are two different things. So I would call it a disagreement. I had disagreements with, because beef is something that you don't come back from. Beef to me is something where somebody loses a son or a daughter, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just beef. But for these guys, it's beef. When I went back and I looked at it, and it was actually God who revealed to me that I need to go back and look at it, the people that I was arguing with were all atheists and Satanists. And I was just like, wow. When I went back and looked at it, I mean, they were professed Satanists. Like, yeah, I'm a Satanist. The whole satanic emblems, the whole nine. And it was that group of people that were attacking me. And I didn't realize it then, what was going on, because I was just like, hey, I'm under attack, and I was handling it the way I normally handle an attack. It's kind of like, all right, these guys are dumb. Let me destroy them. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. Bam. It's a done deal, right? Well, now you notice that you don't really see me attacking anybody anymore. I don't even give into it unless it's just something that's just absolutely insane. Because now I realize, okay, these are attacks. Just like the person I told you who called me recently, who called me the N-word, a coon, said my kid should be taken from me, like all kinds of stuff. Then a year later, you call me and you want to work with me. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I could destroy this person. I could set them up for an interview and just make them look stupid. But I say, the better thing to do is just let them sit there. They know what they did. I don't have to go back and forth with them. So now I've gotten to the point where I don't even fight those battles anymore because I think God can do something way worse to them than I can ever do. So that kind of answers the question. And again, you'll even see me say things like this on Facebook. Like, if anybody who really wants to get to know my personality, like, my Facebook page is where you find out the most about the way I think, how I operate, the mood I'm in, everything. I don't have a personal Facebook page. I only have the one for Dark Waters. I think Facebook is a spy tool for the government, and I don't use it personally. But for this, I use it. But there, you can kind of get an idea of who I am because I'm an open book about how I feel about things, and I don't hold back, anything. I just tell it like it is. Whether it's things going on in the industry, whether it's things going on with people that I'm dealing with, I pretty much don't hold back.
Well, let's talk about a little bit more about Bible characters and Bible. I shouldn't say characters. I view the Bible as not only as a spiritual tome, but also a historical recounting of history. So let's talk a little bit about giants and Anunnaki and all of that. So what's your opinion on all these characters in the Bible?
Um, my opinion on the characters in the Bible, my opinion on the people in the Bible that's, pretty much documented history is that it's documented and that it's well documented across religious books. So it happened. For people who may say it didn't happen, it's documented across multiple different religions, reference the same people. Sometimes the names are different, but they're still talking about the same people. So those people existed. To specifically get into giants as characters in the Bible, the Inhuman storyline that it's done, but I haven't been given permission to release the rest of it, really goes into not only the transhumanism, but it also goes into the rebirth and what people are actually trying to do to bring those giants back. So let me take the audience back for a second. A while ago, I referenced the Testament of Solomon. If you haven't read the Testament of Solomon, and I'm gonna take you guys all the way around the corner to bring you to what I'm talking about, but I need you to understand this. If you haven't read the Testament of Solomon, basically what it is that Solomon had a servant who fled and left him, and he wanted his servant back. Well, he found out that his servant was possessed by a demon, and the demon was the reason why his servant left. So God gave him a symbol, a pentagram, not a pentagram, a pinnacle that allowed him to control the demon. He got his first demon. He was like, yo, where you come from, what you do. He starts interrogating all these demons. God gave him the power to summon those demons, bring them to him, and he pretty much interrogated them to find out what they did. There were demons that were responsible for giving people ulcers, demons responsible for people having eye injuries, for destroying relationships, for bad finances, for making people drunkards. I mean, he pretty much waterboarded all the demons and got them to tell who they were, where they came from, and what angel frustrated them, meaning what archangel would cause them to flee. And then all throughout that testament, the demons are saying the one thing that really scares them is Jesus Christ, right? Well, you need to understand that. Now, moving forward, that storyline, which was shared to me by two gentlemen who are very, very active in the cryptid community. And unfortunately, people think of the cryptid community as people like kind of J.C. Johnson, who, God rest his soul, who was going out and looking for and collecting evidence. JC was a great guy. He collected a lot of evidence, but the people who really collect evidence, the people who really go out and do it, know where to go, know what to get, know how to find things, they don't put stuff on YouTube. They don't share it on YouTube. They don't do interviews. They don't do any. I'm talking about the people who really are into it. I've been blessed to earn the trust of a couple of people who share information with me. The problem is the reins are so tight with the stories is that damn near every other word is scrutinized. And I understand why. I really believe it is for my safety because the agreement that we have is that the information should come out as entertainment, but it's true information. So there's certain things that's always pulled out of the stories to make sure that it's entertainment. And certain things that I hear and that I learn are so frightening that I really don't want to know them. You know, when we first started talking about Bigfoot and I did the first Bigfoot story, it was like, oh, okay. You know, I can believe somebody shot some Bigfoots, you know, they run around acting crazy. Then we went into the Lion of Judah and I was like, whoa, okay. And then now we're talking about giants that are, or actually not giants, but human beings that are being born, but they're not birth of male DNA. They're cloned human beings that are being born for the specific purpose of those bodies being possessed by demonic spirits. And that was what was going on in China a couple of years ago. I won't tell exact how many years, but between 1 and 10 years ago, that's what was going on in China in underground labs. I mean, imagine someone cloning a child, which we already know cloning is out there and it's been done, but not, you know, a normal size baby. I'm talking about huge once they're grown, you know, 13, 14 foot tall once they grow to be as big as they can be. And with the specific purpose of that body being possessed, because it has no soul, being possessed by a demonic spirit or demonic entity. Those are the kind of things that are going on as we speak. And I believe that now the reason why we see all this turmoil around the world, not, and when we say turmoil, people typically think about the political system in America. You got to do a 30,000-foot view of what's going on all over the world. Blood rain in Russia, earthquakes all over the world. I think what's going on now is the greatest spiritual battle that mankind has ever known. Unfortunately, the average person is dumbed down with cell phones and PlayStations and every other little thing that they're not paying attention to it. They really aren't paying attention to what's going on. So, do I believe that giants existed? Absolutely, no doubt, hands down. Are there people trying to reanimate giants now and through the use of cloning and then have that cloned body be possessed by very old demonic entities? Absolutely, yes. Are there labs right now where there's genetic splicing and genetic engineering going on? Absolutely. I won't say where, but yes. And we're in a dangerous time. So in the Bible, it said in the last days it will be like the days of Noah. And in those days of Noah, we know for a fact that there were giants, number one, that there were creatures and beings that weren't completely human. In the days of Noah, there were angels that were rebelling against God to the point to where one of them tried to devour Noah. Was it Noah or Moses? It was, yeah, one of them tried to devour. That was Moses. Yeah. But there were all kind of things going on that we're starting to see now. The difference is we're distracted where there were no distractions then. So we have these just distractions everywhere that won't allow us to see what's really going on. And the few who actually see what's going on, because everyone else is distracted, the few who see it are crazy. It's like, oh man, you're crazy. No, you're distracted. You don't see everything that's happening around you. You don't see the murders going on. You don't see the pedophilia, the child sacrifices, all out there in front of you, you know, but people don't see it because they're too busy, whether watching a football game or, you know, whatever the hell they're doing. They're just busy.
So, how close is, say, the bigger entities within the spiritual realm, like the Catholicism, the Christians, Buddhists? How close are they to the powers that be within those particular religions? How close are they to this paranormal reality that is actually normal? With all these clones of giants and attempts to, meld giant clones with demons. How are they for it, against it, indifferent to it? What?
When we talk about what, the spiritual entities, or you mean as far as God is concerned, or?
Well, I'm talking about it as an entity of man, like a man runs a church, man does this or that. Is there, there's a lot of I'm going to probably tick off a lot of people about Catholicism, but you know, every religion has its own set of disbelievers, a lot of conspiracy theories with them. Is there any truth to some of these conspiracy theories? Like with, I hate to keep saying Catholicism, but if you know the prophecies of the Pope, I don't know if you've ever heard that. Have you?
This new pope,
No, the
or just
prophecies of
prophecy?
the prophecies of the Pope. There were like 100 pope, well, not 100 popes ago, several popes ago. There was this. I can't remember the actual story right off the top of my head, but he had a series of visions, and I can't remember the Pope's name. But during these series of visions, he foresaw each Pope, and then the last. Wow, that's crazy. My phone just went off.
You'd like to call Social Security.
Did you hear that?
What happened? Was the phone just ringing?
No, the phone started asking me, "Do you want to call Social Security?"
Oh, that's Google listening to you, man.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, this is Siri." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Man."
that's on Siri, Apple, Google. They all the
Yeah,
same.
they're all the same. No, well, with this series of popes, uh, I know I'm going around a bush, around a tree to get through a bush, but let me restate this. Okay, so say you've got this big, huge, multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar entity that is the Catholic Church. Now I know
Okay.
there's a ton of people in there. Majority of them are good Christian people, but I also know there's a bunch of people in there that are in the seat of power. Not just picking Catholics. It could be any other form of religious entities out there. Do these people have a stake in bringing back these giants, these demons? Are they related to this, or is this all totally just
Oh,
government?
I got you.
You know what
No,
I'm
I
talking about?
got you. I got what you're saying. Okay. The two things. Number one, one of the things that people get bogged down in is whether it's, Protestant ideology or Catholic ideology and the different ways of worshiping God. God is God. The church is full of, across the board, is full of great people with good intentions who love God,
Mm-hmm. I
and they
agree.
want to worship God. The difference is what you talked about, which is at the very top, which is the elite of
Yes.
everything. So first of all, we need to distinguish between, the person who's going to church every Saturday or every Sunday. We're not talking about that person. And I want to be clear with that. What you're referencing is the elites that are above them that control and operate things. The elites that has been documented across all religions that have been into satanic worship, pedophilia, things of that nature. Um, and your question is, do they condone what's going on? My personal belief, and I don't have evidence to support this, so I'm going to say it's my personal belief, is that they're well aware of what's going on because we also know that a significant amount of history has been hidden from the masses. So, for example, the simple fact that giants once roamed the earth and that the Smithsonian clearly has carcasses of giants and they haven't shared them with the public, um, because they say it's for the betterment of mankind that they don't know. To me, it's one of those things to where, well, if people did know that there was giant human beings walking around, whether the person is 12 feet, 14, 16, or cloud eaters, which were 100 feet tall, which all that's been documented,
Mm-hmm.
that would only validate what was said in the Bible when only say, okay, well, wow, they talked about this. And so this actually happened. So, wow, the rest of this stuff happened as well. So my belief is that yes, there are certain people who know high up in the religious, the high oligarchs in the religious realms, and they don't have a problem with it. They clearly don't have a problem with it because if they did, they'd be jumping up and down and screaming and hollering and saying, "Hey, you can't do this. This shouldn't be done. Stop right now." And we know that all the technology that we deal with today is stuff that they had 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So you can only imagine the type of technology that exists right now that we're not aware of. That's the most frightening thing to me. what exists now that people are using that we're not aware of. I know for a fact, as an entrepreneur, I've spoken to people who have access to the designer drugs that make them extremely focused and heightens their intelligence. I know that for a fact because I learned about that after Katrina at one of those nights where we were sitting around smoking and drinking from some guys from New York that was on Wall Street.
Hey, folks, thanks for listening to this best stuff sample of some of my 5 years in doing this radio show podcast called Chasing the Truth. Please visit iamdarkwaters.com, or you can email me at seang@iamdarkwaters.com. And my numbers and links are in the description below. God bless y'all, and I'll catch you on the flip side.